This verse, inscribed on a stone tablet beside a Polo Ground, south of the fabled Silk Route from China to the west, sums up the ancient history of what is believed to be the oldest organized sport in the world.
Welcome to the world of thrill and adventure. Friends, imagine yourself on a horseback, but mind you, you're not in a horse race. You're not fighting a war against your enemy where you need horses. It appears like a ballet, but up close when you go, there's all sweat and dust. Players, athletes shouting not only commands but curses against each other. Horses galloping and blowing with rage and anger for God knows what. I hope you got the clue. You're playing a game. And what is the game? If you say polo, you're right.
Certainly, the game of polo reflects all the qualities that made the Mongol hordes the greatest nation of horsemen in the ancient world. Great equestrian skills coupled with a clear eye and stout heart remain the prerequisites of a polo player till today.
So that's the game. Now a little about the academics of the game, about the word itself. Origin matters. Why polo? Why not any other word or term? Basically, the word polo has been derived from the term pulu, which in Tibetan language meant ball. And the ball is actually something that's being tossed from one corner of the field to another. And that's how the game has got its name.
The ball, no question, makes of A's and no's, but right or left as strikes the player goes. And he that tossed thee down into the field, he knows about it all, he knows, he knows.
Everything has got a history of its own, and likewise polo. But the problem is that the history of polo is lost in the mist of antiquity. Persians, as history has it, were the first people, the first nation to have played the game polo as back as 2,500 years. But Chinese are also no way behind. They say that they first played the game several thousand years ago. Whatever the fact, but in all probability, they learnt the game from Central Asian nomads who would take saddle as their whole world, as passionate, as obsessive they were about the game, and whose writ would run from the Great Wall of China in the east to Caspian Sea in the west. But this is all about the mist of history, but the fact of history is what Firdausi mentions in his great epic Shahnama, written in 9th century, that the first recorded polo match was played between Persia and Turkey during the tenure of that great Persian king, Darius. And we'll give you the result of the game. It was won by Turkey.
Polo was truly a game of kings for most of its reputed 2,500 years or more of existence. Patronized by kings and the horsed cavalry, it was played by the likes of Darius, Genghis Khan and Alexander the Great. If Alexander's skill at polo was anything akin to his skill in the arts of war, for he had soon defeated the mighty Darius, then he must indeed rank as one of the earliest known high goal player.
It's believed that Alexander the Great, that king of Macedonia, had a great love for the game, and he in his young age was a great polo player also, besides being a king. When he inherited the throne from his father in 336 BC, this fact was not quite taken well, was not digested by his Persian counterpart Darius. And then he had a very mocking a derisive gesture, he sent him a gift in the form of a polo stick and a ball and a message that you better play polo. You stick yourself to the stick itself and do not meddle with the political and military affairs of your country, because that is something that is beyond you. That was not taken ill by Alexander, but warmly received, but with these words that yes, I receive your gift, but mind you, the stick that you have sent means me. The ball that you have sent means the whole world, which I intend to conquer. What a reply. And did Alexander really conquer the world? That's history.
The game of polo was born in Central Asia, spent its childhood in Iran and attained maturity in the northern areas. Radiating outwards from the steppes of Central Asia, the game eventually spread as far as Japan, China, Tibet and India. In India, polo was widely played in medieval times, as is evident from the fact that Sultan Qutbuddin Aibak, founder of the slave dynasty and builder of one of Delhi's most famous landmarks, died of a fatal accident, impaled on the ornate horn of his own saddle after a fall on the polo field in Lahore. Under the Mughals, polo was the national sport of India until the end of 16th century. During the period that the house of Taimur reigned supreme in Delhi, polo enjoyed the patronage of kings and nobles and was widely played in the provinces of the empire.
Though the game was introduced in India much earlier, but during Mughal period it received a great patronage. It was flourished during the Mughal period, and with the decline and fall of the Mughal Empire, the game also showed signs of decline and gradually had a fall. It almost vanished in the cities of India, but it survived in the hidden mountainous ranges of Gilgit, Ladakh and Manipur.
Polo has been for centuries a popular sport of the rugged mountain valleys of Karakoram ranges, particularly in the remote and inaccessible Himalayan regions of Gilgit, Hunza, Skardu and Khapalu in Baltistan and Ladakh. According to legends, the game of polo came to central Ladakh from neighboring Baltistan, where for centuries it used to be chief amusement. Historians date the introduction of polo in Ladakh to King Jamyang Namgyal's reign in the 16th century, who married Gyal Khatun, a princess from Baltistan.
I have seen polo being played here since my childhood. Polo has been part of our heritage. There was a polo ground next to the powerhouse earlier called Shagran. People of all age used to play polo there.
तो वो बहुत देर तक खेलते रहे, जब तक कि उनका उम्र था, उन्होंने शौक था, उन्होंने बहुत खेला जनाब उस जगह पे पोलो. तो उस वक्त में लगभग
I too used to play when I was young.
तो उसके बाद जनाब फिर हमको शौक हुआ पोलो खेलने का.
As they say, games and gifts are nature's bounties enjoyed by rich only. Polo is one such game, like billiards and golf and like many other games which are being played by people with a royal touch. But in Ladakh, this game has a distinction. It has got itself mixed with the society to such an extent that all plebeians, pedestrians, even children, adults from all walks of life, from all backgrounds, participate in this game with all the verve and enthusiasm. And in Ladakh, it's not merely a game, it's not merely a sport, but it is the part, an indispensable part of their cultural heritage. In Leh and in Chishut primarily, there are certain places where people come together and play this game. This is magic.
Today in Ladakh, polo is more than a game. It is a part of cultural heritage. The game of polo in Ladakh draws huge crowds, with people donning their traditional colorful costumes. It is a game of the masses, where the player is everything combined into one. That is, from stable hand to horse owner, and finally the player. The matches are played in the late afternoon when the sun, slanting across the ground, casts shadows that appear almost three-dimensional. Traditionally, almost every village had its polo ground, and even today it is played with verve in many places besides Leh, especially in Dras and Chushut, a big village close to Leh. In fact, all the major villages of Ladakh have their own polo ground called Shagran. Sengye Namgyal, the king of Ladakh, laid the first royal polo ground in the Morse Garden below Leh in 17th century. The present polo ground in Leh is in the center of the city adjoining DC's office. It is at the top of the town, and from the grandstand spectators look across to the bare foothills of the Ladakh range. The game played here differs in many respects from the international game, which indeed is adapted from what British travelers saw in the Western Himalaya and Manipur in the 19th century. Here, each team consists of 6 players, and the game lasts for an hour, with a 10-minute break. Ladakhi polo is a fast and furious game of 2 rounds, characterized by rough riding reminiscent of the Mongol horsemen.
it was quite interesting. It was very out in the open and very dusty, and I was sitting on a step, which was right at the edge of the field. And the ball came at me many times, and I was pulled out of the way, and the horses wheeled around, and clouds of dust came up, and I really felt I was part of the match, which I hadn't counted on.
The game played here is very rough and with hardly any rules. When we ride the horse, passion overrides the mind. It's the madness of the game all around that takes over.
Polo as played in Baltistan, Gilgit, Hunza and Ladakh differs from the game as played internationally. Unlike the system of chakkar, short period of 6 to 8 minutes into which the match is divided with a change of mount. Here the game is played furiously and continuously, and the ponies running as fast and as strongly as in the beginning of the match until either of the team scores 9 goals. Altitude notwithstanding, the hardy local ponies, the best of which come from Zanskar, scarcely seem to suffer, though play can be fast and furious. This is the test of human endurance, skills and horse strength.
It's amazing. They're the same horses that are used in all the matches, and they run for an hour, back and forth and back and forth. They're amazing horses.
No polo match in Ladakh is complete without its musical accompaniment of Surna and Daman. At the start and finish of play and to celebrate every goal, special polo music is struck. It is interesting to note that music varies according to fortune of the game, accelerating in tempo and increasing in volume at the scoring of a goal. The most unfamiliar feature is after a goal. Both the ends change automatically. The scorer gets the privilege to patch up the ball. He goes at a full gallop with the ball and stick until midway point, throws up the ball and shoots towards the goal with a clean, straight and perfectly controlled shot.
A very spicy fact which we would like to share with you about the game polo. In the late 19th century, a ground was made in Ladakh which later was occupied by the people. And an immediate question that people, lovers of polo, faced that time, that where to play the game. They needed a ground, but they were bubbling with passion and with vigor and rigor about the game that they came out and played the same game, not in the ground but in the marketplace. This is the height of passion that they had developed for the game.
After year 1947, the earlier ground was encroached upon by people from many sides, and there was no place to play polo. Government did not take any interest in this regard, but the passion was there, so that forced us to play polo in the main market. We used to enjoy playing polo in the market also. Afterwards, some army generals helped us to make this present polo ground, and we started playing polo in this ground.
पोलो खेलने में शौक रहे। इस तरह हम पोलो के बहुत शौकीन थे।
So friends, you heard all about the history, the chronology of the game, the emperors, the kings, the warriors who were so fascinated with the game. Now we like to end with a question. Are you tough? Are you mentally, physically resilient enough? Do you have that stamina? Are you stout? Is your body strong? Can you bridle that horse? Can you bear with the gallops of that horse and hold that stick and dribble and dodge with that ball? These all are the prerequisites for a polo player. If your answer is yes, then you must not wait. This is the game, and if you are game, the fun is that you play it in Ladakh.